Hey everyone, glad you could join me because today we are going to take a look at one of my favorite places, outer space. So let's change the setting we've got going here and we will begin. We're going to take a look at some distances and just kind of how big everything's going to be. So in Minecraft, every block is supposed to be 1 meter squared. So if that's 1 meter, a kilometer is going to be 1,000 of those. This here is 100 blocks, so that is 100 meters. And for a feel for scale, we are going to fly the length of a kilometer with elytra on. As you can see, with elytra, a kilometer really isn't that bad. 1,000 blocks, no big deal. So the distance in orange that we just flew, we can represent by one light blue block. And if we come over here, we have 100 light blue blocks in a row. Now, if we take that light blue block and represent it by a light green block, this is the smallest distance that we will actually be working with. So that 100 times all condensed down into this guy. And to be able to represent planets in space, that is the absolute smallest we can go to be able to show them in Minecraft. So here we are in space, and the first thing we're going to take a look at is the size of the Earth. So if we take that light green block as 100 kilometers, this would be the size of the Earth. The radius, or from the center to the outside of the Earth, is 6,371 kilometers. Now, if the Earth is this big, the moon would be this big. So let's back up a little bit here. In relation to each other, the Earth, the moon, this is the size difference. Over at the moon, its radius is 1,737 kilometers. So this moon has a radius of 17 blocks. From the center to the outside is 17. Now, one common misconception about sizes in space and distances is just how close the moon is to the Earth. How close do you think it is? That close? Maybe a little farther? Somewhere just out there? So if we take the Earth over there with a radius of 63, we shrink it down to a radius of 6, about 1/10. And then we take our moon with a radius of 17, which is approximately 1,700 kilometers. And then we shrink it down again 1/10, so 17 down to 1.7, which is going to be rounded up to 2 in Minecraft. Let's start backing up from the moon. And we will look over toward where the Earth should be. So this is a more accurate representation of the distance between the Earth and the moon. You can fit about 30 planet Earths between Earth and the moon. When you just consider the size of the Earth and the size of the moon, it seems like there's a lot more than there is. But with the distances of outer space, there's significantly more nothing than there is something. Now, we're going to take a look at the size of some other planets. We're going to work our way out from the sun. So the first planet from the sun, Mercury. Now Mercury's radius is 2,440 kilometers. So we're going to do a radius of 100 kilometers due to the limitations of Minecraft in decimals. We are now in Mercury, or a representation of it. We're just gonna poke our way out here. So compared to Earth, the planet Mercury that is closest to the sun is gonna be that big. The next planet we're gonna look at, Venus. It has a radius of 6,052, so this one's gonna be a radius of 60. Quite similar to the Earth, actually. And to make that, Minecraft has to generate over 38,000 blocks. And we are inside Venus. So from here, as you can see, it's pretty much the same size as Earth. It's hard to tell the difference unless you're to specifically go in and start counting. And then after Venus comes the Earth, which we've drawn. So let's move on to Mars. Now Mars has a radius of 3,390 kilometers. So we're going to do 34 because that's 33.9 rounded up. All right, here we go. 34. Red wool because, well, Mars is red. We are now in Mars. Let's back up a little bit. So we have our red planet there, Mars, compared to the size of the Earth. I've gone ahead and lined up our planets. The next one we're going to do that's actually small enough to show at this scale is going to be Pluto. So we got Mars over there, and we're going to plot Pluto right here. Even though it is so far away you wouldn't even be able to see it. The radius of Pluto is 1,185 kilometers. So we're going to do 12 for 11.8 rounded up. We are now in Pluto. Let's back up a little bit. So if you're one of those people who, like me, still considers Pluto a planet, it's that big. The one right behind me there is Earth, then Mars, and then Pluto. We're going to go ahead and make the moon here just for a size comparison. We have Pluto on the left and the moon on the right, so it is significantly smaller than the moon. To scale, these are the sizes of the smaller planets in our solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and Pluto. Due to the build height limits of Minecraft, in order to show the next 4 planets, we're actually going to have to shrink down all of these planets to about 1/10 of their current size. We're also going to turn the Earth to be blue. It's better blue. I have taken this and shrunken it down to this. Now we can start to look at Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Now I made everything so small because Jupiter has a radius of 69,911 kilometers. And if we do 1/10 of 100 kilometers, that would still be about 70 rounded up. It's going to be massive. So if this is the size of Jupiter, let's go around and see just how big the other planets are. This is the size of the largest planet in our solar system compared to, left to right, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. You can see why we had to make the rest of the planets just a little bit smaller in order to make Jupiter even come close to fitting within the 255 block build limit. Next up is Saturn with a radius of 58,232 kilometers. So that's going to be 58 for our radius here at this scale. Now you're probably used to seeing Saturn with rings. Well, with all these planets here, I can't actually make it fit. So we're going to take Saturn, move it back there quite a ways, and I'll show you just how wide the rings are. The rings actually stretch out about 273,000 kilometers. However, Saturn also does have a ring that extends out 1 million kilometers, which I can't show you here. Here's a Minecraft representation of the rings of Saturn. That little blue sphere there, that's the size of Earth. Here's Uranus in comparison with the other two. We're going to continue to back up and get the rest of the planets in here. Getting a little smaller, closer to the size of the Earth, but still nowhere near it. Finally, we're going to take a look at Neptune, which has a radius similar to Uranus, which is 24,622. Cover that back up, and we will go back at a distance. So these are our 4 outer planets. We have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, with little bitty Earth right here. For our next comparison, we're going to compare Earth and Jupiter to the size of the Sun. I've gone ahead, moved to a different location, created an Earth. We also have the moon. The distance between them is wrong. You know that. I already showed you. Now, before I show you the size of the sun, keep in mind that Minecraft has a 255 block build limit. So I actually can't show you the entire sun at this scale, unfortunately. Earth and moon, backing up, backing up, backing up, backing up. This is how big the sun is at that scale. It has a radius of approximately 695,000 kilometers. We're going to use our wings and fly around a little bit just to get some perspective on this. Now, if we shrink down the size of the Earth to a single block and the size of the moon to about the size of a button, we will be able to see the entire sun. So let's go ahead and do that. So I misspoke earlier. I meant a radius of 1 for the Earth. So let's back up and take a look at just how monstrous this is. At a certain height, I disappear. So this is what we'd be looking at for a reasonably close scale model of how big the Earth is compared to the sun. The sun, now we have a tiny little speck there. It's huge. Let's do Jupiter. At this scale, Jupiter would have a radius of about 12 blocks. Here we have the scale of the sun, Jupiter, and the Earth to about as accurate as Minecraft can produce. I'm just gonna move around it a little bit so you can kind of appreciate just how big the size difference is. And Jupiter was the planet that only moments ago dwarfed Earth. I think it's absolutely incredible the size of the things out there in the universe, and these are all relatively small compared to some of the largest objects that exist. That's going to be it for today. In my next video, we're going to explore the distances between the planets, the sun, and even other stars. I will see you next time.